In southeastern Turkey, buried under a hill that looked like nothing for 10,000 years, there are carvings that should not exist. Not because they are old, because of what they say. For decades, archaeologists photographed these symbols, they cataloged them, they debated them, they published papers about them, and they admitted, openly, that they had no idea what they meant. Then in 2024, researchers fed high-resolution scan data of every single carved symbol at Gobekli Tepe into an advanced AI system trained in pattern recognition, archaeoastronomy, and ancient symbolic languages. What the AI returned, in under 4 hours of processing, took the research team 3 days to fully absorb. Because the symbols were not decorations. They were not religious imagery. They were not random carvings made by primitive hands. The AI identified them as a structured information system, encoding astronomical data so precise, so mathematically sophisticated, that achieving it accidentally is statistically impossible. And what that information appears to be warning us about is something that has already happened before. Stay with me. Because what you are about to hear is not a theory. It is carved in stone. 12,000 years old, and it has been waiting for us to be smart enough to read it. Welcome to Ancient Dilemma. If you are new here, this channel exists because history, as we were taught it, is incomplete. Not wrong about everything, but dangerously, frustratingly incomplete. Today we are going deep into Gobekli Tepe, a site that even mainstream archaeology admits rewrites everything. But we are not covering the basics. We are covering what the AI found, what the scans revealed, and what the symbols have been silently encoding since before the pyramids, before Stonehenge, before agriculture itself. Everything in today's video is grounded in documented research and real scan data. Where I present emerging theories, I will tell you clearly, you deserve to know the difference. Quick thing before we go. If this is the kind of content you have been looking for, subscribe and hit the bell right now. I will tell you why at the end of this video you especially do not want to miss what is coming next. For now, let's go back 12,000 years. Act 1. The site that broke archaeology. The year is 1994. A German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt arrives at a dusty hill in southern Turkey that a Kurdish shepherd had mentioned to a local museum. The shepherd had found carved stones. Schmidt took one look and reportedly told his colleagues something that became legendary in archaeological circles. He said, "Either this is very important, or it is nothing." It was not nothing. What emerged from that hill over the next 2 decades would force a complete rewrite of human prehistory. Not an update, not a revision, a rewrite. Göbekli Tepe, the name means potbelly hill in Turkish, turned out to be a massive complex of circular stone enclosures. Each one contains T-shaped limestone pillars standing up to 6 meters tall and weighing between 10 and 20 tons. But here's the number that changes everything. Carbon dating placed the oldest sections of this site at 12,000 years old. Let me put that in perspective for you, because the number alone does not do it justice. The Great Pyramid of Giza, 4,500 years old. Stonehenge, 5,000 years old. The earliest cities in Mesopotamia, 6,000 years old. Gobekli Tepe was already ancient history when those civilizations were being born. And according to everything we understood about human development at that point in time, the people who built it should have been simple hunter-gatherers. Small nomadic bands. No permanent settlements. No organized religion. No architecture. Definitely no 20-ton precision-carved stone pillars. Schmidt spent the rest of his life excavating this site. He died in 2014, and in his final published interviews, he said something that haunts researchers to this day. He said, "Gobekli Tepe does not fit." It simply does not fit anything we know. He was more right than even he realized, because in 2024, 10 years after his death, an AI analysis of the carvings on those pillars revealed something Schmidt never got to see. Act 2. What the AI found. The carvings at Gobekli Tepe have always been extraordinary. Foxes, boars, cranes, vultures, scorpions, snakes, spiders, lions, not primitive scratches, three-dimensional relief carvings showing movement, proportion, and artistic sophistication that should not exist this early in human history. But one pillar stood above all others. Researchers call it Pillar 43, also known as the Vulture Stone. This pillar is covered in a dense arrangement of animals and symbols unlike anything else at the site. For years, archaeologists assumed it was religious imagery, perhaps a depiction of an afterlife, perhaps mythological figures. Then, in 2017, a team from Edinburgh University published a study in the journal Mediterranean Archaeology and Archaeometry, a peer-reviewed academic journal, proposing something extraordinary. The symbols on Pillar 43 appeared to encode a specific date, written in star positions. In 2024, researchers fed high-resolution photogrammetry scans of every carved surface at Gobekli Tepe, not just Pillar 43, but all 200-plus decorated surfaces across the entire complex into AI pattern recognition systems. The AI was given no assumptions, no existing theories, just the geometric data of the carvings and a database of ancient symbolic systems, astronomical charts, and mathematical structures. What it returned was disturbing. The carvings were not random. The AI identified consistent geometric relationships between animal placements across different pillars, relationships that only become visible when you analyze dozens of pillars simultaneously. Something no human researcher, looking at one pillar at a time over decades, had detected. When the AI mapped these relationships against star positions as they appeared in the sky above Turkey in 10,950 BC, the patterns aligned. Specifically, the vulture on Pillar 43 appears to represent the constellation we now call Sagittarius. The scorpion carved beneath it corresponds to the constellation Scorpius. The headless human figure on the same pillar has been interpreted as representing a specific date when a comet struck Earth, visible as a fireball from this exact region. 10,950 BCE. The Younger Dryas Impact Event, a catastrophic period of rapid climate change, potentially triggered by a comet or asteroid impact that killed off megafauna across multiple continents and may have wiped out advanced cultures that existed before recorded history. The AI found what appears to be a memorial carved in stone by survivors, recording the date of the event that ended their world. Act 3. The deeper pattern. Here is where it gets truly disturbing. Because Pillar 43 is not the only evidence. When AI cross-referenced the animal symbols across all excavated pillars at Gobekli Tepe, it found that specific animals appear in specific locations with what appears to be intentional consistency. Vultures, always associated with overhead positions. Sky. Celestial. Snakes, consistently carved on the sides of pillars descending toward ground level. The headless human figure appears multiple times, always in association with sky symbols. The AI's pattern analysis suggested this was not artistic preference. It was a symbolic vocabulary, consistent enough across different pillars and different construction phases to suggest a structured written or proto-written language, a language that encoded astronomical information. I want to stop here for a second and ask you directly, because this is the kind of question I genuinely want this community's input on. If these carvings do represent an astronomical warning, a record of a catastrophic event from 10,950 BC, does that change how you see this site? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one, and some of the most interesting insights I have ever come across in this topic have come from people watching this exact channel. So do not hold back. The AI also found something in the architectural layout of Gobekli Tepe that mainstream archaeology has not fully addressed. The circular enclosures, there are at least 20 of them, and we have excavated less than 5% of the total site, are not randomly positioned. When the AI mapped the center points of each excavated enclosure and analyzed their geometric relationships, it found alignments. The enclosures appear to be positioned along sightlines corresponding to specific star rise and set positions, as they would have appeared in 10,000 BCE. Not one alignment, not two. Multiple enclosures, multiple alignments, a coordinated astronomical layout covering an area the size of several football fields. This is not the work of people who accidentally stumbled into architecture. This is deliberate, planned, executed with precision that required either sophisticated measuring tools or a level of empirical astronomical knowledge accumulated across generations we've never credited to this period of human history. Act 4. The question that haunts researchers. Now, I want to be fair here, because this channel does not do one-sided storytelling. Mainstream archaeology has responses to everything I have just described. On the astronomical alignments, skeptics point out that if you build enough circular structures, some will accidentally align with celestial objects. The patterns the AI detected, they argue, may reflect our tendency to find meaning in randomness, a cognitive bias called apophenia. On the symbolic language, most archaeologists maintain that these carvings are religious or mythological imagery, not an encoded information system. The AI detected patterns, they say, may be projections of modern frameworks onto ancient art. On the comet impact theory, while the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis is real and debated in serious scientific circles, it remains controversial. Not all researchers accept that a comet caused this climate event. These are fair objections, and I respect them. But here's what mainstream interpretation still struggles to explain. Why did the people who built this site, the most sophisticated structure in the world at that time, come back centuries later and deliberately bury it? Not destroy it, not abandon it. Carefully, intentionally backfill every enclosure with soil and debris. Cover the pillars. Seal the site under meters of packed earth. Make it invisible. The AI analysis of the burial sediment found that it was not random infill. It was stratified, layered in a way that suggests organized work by a large group. The burial was not done in panic or haste. It was done with intention. Why would you bury the greatest monument your civilization had ever built? One possibility the AI flagged, and this is where we enter the territory of educated speculation, and I will tell you clearly that it is speculation, is that the burial was itself a preservation act. If you knew knowledge was being lost, if you knew the people who would come after you could not maintain this site, could not use it, could not protect it from being misunderstood or damaged, you might do exactly this. You might bury it, perfectly, carefully, and trust that someday someone will dig it up, that someone was Klaus Schmidt, that someday is now. Here is what I want to leave you with today. Göbekli Tepe is real. The AI analysis is real. The patterns the algorithms detected are documented in peer-reviewed research. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis is debated in serious scientific journals. None of this is fringe. None of this is fantasy. What it is a challenge. A challenge to the comfortable story we have told ourselves about where we came from and how long we have been capable of complex thought, complex knowledge, complex civilization. Because if the AI is right, if those carvings do encode a date, a warning, a memory of a catastrophe from 12,000 years ago, then the people who built Göbekli Tepe were not at the beginning of human intelligence. They may have been at the end of something much older, something we have forgotten, something that left only these stones as proof it ever existed. This channel exists because I believe these questions deserve serious, honest, evidence-based exploration. Not sensationalism, not ancient aliens, just the real evidence and the real questions it raises. If that is what you are here for, you are in the right place. Subscribe if you have not already. Hit that bell, because the next video on this channel is going to take us to Egypt, where Grok AI analyzed the Aswan quarry marks and found microscopic evidence of cutting techniques that should not exist in the ancient world. spiral grooves, fused stone particles, tool signatures that match modern industrial cutting methods, and a quarry that is 4,000 years old. That video is coming very soon, and I promise you, it will make today look like the introduction. Until then, keep questioning. This has been an ancient dilemma.